You look around and wonder why the rich keep getting richer, while you fight for scraps. Why no matter how hard you work, you're still chained to bills, debts, and survival. It feels unfair, doesn't it? But here's the truth most will never dare say. Money doesn't obey fairness. Money obeys power. And power is always taken, never given. This is why you stay broke. Because you still believe in playing by the rules, in waiting your turn, in hoping someone will reward your effort. But the wealthy? They don't wait, they don't hope. They engineer wealth by bending people, systems, and even reality to their will. And if you don't understand the cold Machiavellian principles behind that game, you will always be prey, a servant to someone else's empire. What I'm about to share isn't motivational fluff. It's not another work harder, save more fairy tale. This is dangerous knowledge, forbidden even. The kind of knowledge that will make you unreadable, untouchable, unstoppable in the pursuit of wealth. If you master it, you'll never be ordinary again. Most people think wealth is about intelligence, about luck, or about talent. But those are illusions. If they were true, geniuses wouldn't die poor, and hard workers wouldn't drown in debt. Wealth isn't about raw ability. It's about strategy. Cold, tactical, Machiavellian strategy. Niccolo Machiavelli once wrote, "Men forget more easily the death of their father than the loss of their patrimony." In other words, money strikes deeper than blood. Wealth is survival, it is status, it is power. And those who control it control others. The first thing you must understand is this: money is not neutral. It's a weapon. In the hands of the weak, it slips away. In the hands of the strong, it multiplies. And this weapon is only given to those who can detach from childish illusions. That's where you begin. By breaking your old identity, you stop thinking like a victim of circumstance, and you start observing. Because the truth is, most people are blind. They're predictable, they're emotional. They don't see how they're being played in the money game. But once you open your eyes, once you watch instead of react, you start to see how wealth is really built. Look at the average man. He works hard. He saves pennies. He plays by the rules. And yet, his life is a cage, his labor enriching someone else. Why? Because he believes in effort, not leverage. He believes in fairness, not manipulation. He believes in appearances, not in power. That blindness is exactly why he stays broke. And here's the first law: weaponize silence. Most people chase wealth by talking, by begging, by proving themselves. They show their desperation like a stench. But silence is pressure. Silence makes others reveal themselves. In negotiation, in deals, in opportunities, the one who can stay quiet bends the other side. Because humans hate silence. They rush to fill it, often with concessions, secrets, or weaknesses. The rich understand this. That's why they're calm in rooms where everyone else is scrambling. They don't chase. They let others bleed information and then strike. Silence turns you from prey into predator. But silence alone won't save you. Because even if you stay quiet, if your reactions are predictable, you can still be controlled. That's where the next principle comes in. You see, most people wear their emotions on their face. They broadcast fear, greed, insecurity like a radio signal, and predators pick it up instantly. That's why the wealthy manipulate markets, employees, even friends, because they can read reactions faster than the average man can think. If you want to stop staying broke, you must become unreadable, like a ghost. No one can sense your next move. When you remove emotional tells, when you master stillness, you stop being a pawn on someone else's board. You become the one moving the pieces. Think about it. A man who cannot be read cannot be predicted. A man who cannot be predicted cannot be controlled. That man is dangerous. That man can't be trapped by advertising, peer pressure, or trends. That man saves money when others spend, strikes when others hesitate, and withdraws when others rush in. This is how empires are built. Not by following the crowd, but by standing above it, observing, waiting, striking with precision. But here's what you need to realize. Every time you follow impulse, every time you react emotionally to fear or greed, you bleed power. And every time you bleed power, someone richer than you grows stronger. Because money is always moving. If it's leaving your hands, it's feeding someone else's war chest. And that leads to another law: predators' patience. Average people are impulsive. They chase trends, gamble on hype, rush to get rich quick. And in their impatience, they become prey for those who wait. The wealthy wait. They move slowly, strategically. Like a lion waiting in the tall grass, they don't waste energy. They wait for the perfect moment, when fear grips the herd, and then they pounce. This patience is why they buy when others panic, why they hold when others sell, why they expand when others retreat. Their patience is a weapon, and if you learn it, you'll stop throwing away money on impulses and start capturing opportunities others miss. But patience requires discipline, and discipline is exactly what keeps most people poor. They want comfort, they want ease, they want the dopamine hit of spending instead of the cold satisfaction of control, which is why the few who master patience, silence, and unreadability rise to the top, while the rest stay chained to their paychecks. And here's the darkest truth of all: most people will never escape. They are too emotional, too reactive, too blind to play this game. They will live as prey until they die. But you don't have to. Because if you take these laws seriously, if you detach from illusions, weaponize silence, become unreadable, and master predators' patience, you stop being ordinary. You stop being broke. You start becoming untouchable. And the deeper we go, the more you'll see that wealth is not earned, it's taken. You've already seen the first cracks in the illusion. Silence bends people. Unreadability shields you. Patience turns you from desperate gambler into predator. But if you stop there, you're only half formed, because money isn't just about protecting yourself. It's about turning others into your resource. And here is where the true game begins. Most people think wealth is created by effort. They imagine the rich work harder or smarter. That's only a surface-level truth. The real wealth is built by positioning, by standing in such a way that other people's efforts flow into you, without them even realizing. Think about your job. You work, you grind, you sweat, and your paycheck is a fraction of the value you actually produce. The rest flows upward silently into the hands of your employer. Why? Because they're positioned above you. They don't need to work harder. They just need you to work. This is the law of leverage. Machiavelli once observed, "The people are by nature changeable. It is easy to persuade them of something, but difficult to keep them in that persuasion." What does that mean for money? It means people's effort, loyalty, even their obedience is unstable. But when you control the system, when you create the position where their work must pass through you, their instability doesn't matter. You keep growing richer while they remain trapped. Leverage is why one landlord grows wealthy while hundreds of tenants pay rent until they die. Leverage is why one investor grows rich while thousands gamble and lose. Leverage is why one corporation extracts billions from millions of customers who keep buying even when they complain. And here's the cold part. Most people never think of leverage. They think of earning. They sell their time. They sell their labor. And in doing so, they sell their life. That's why they stay broke, because they trade in the only currency that does not multiply, hours. But the few who master leverage, they stop trading hours and start trading systems. They create positions where time, money, and energy flow toward them. They stop being workers and start being hunters who set traps. Still, even leverage can collapse if you lack control, because the herd, the masses, are fickle. They change their minds, their trends, their loyalties. And if you don't anchor them, you lose your grip. That's why you must learn the law of narrative. Wealth doesn't flow to the best product. It doesn't flow to the hardest worker. It flows to the best story. Humans are irrational creatures. They follow belief more than logic, and those who shape the narrative control the direction of money. That's why religions grow empires, why brands become cults, why politicians command millions of dollars with words alone. They've mastered the art of narrative, of shaping the lens through which the masses see reality. And here's the secret. Narrative doesn't need to be true. It only needs to be believed. Once people accept your story, they will give you their money, their loyalty, their labor, sometimes even their lives. Average people resist this idea. They believe truth and fairness drive the world. But look around. Lies that are repeated loudly become reality. Appearances that are crafted carefully become truth. And the man who rejects narrative as manipulation stays broke, because he doesn't understand that money always follows belief, not reality. Silence, unreadability, patience, leverage, narrative. Do you see the pattern yet? Every principle bends human weakness into your power. Every step pulls you further from the herd and closer to the brotherhood of predators. But here's something darker you must face. Wealth demands sacrifice, not of blood, but of comfort. Because the path of the predator is lonely, you can't indulge in every impulse, every distraction, every craving. That's what keeps others weak, their need for constant comfort. The rich are not soft. They appear indulgent, but beneath the surface, they're disciplined. They control themselves before they control others. Machiavelli warned that a prince must sometimes act against mercy, faith, and even humanity to preserve his power. And if you want to rise above poverty, you must learn the same. How to sacrifice the illusion of morality for the reality of control. This is why you stay broke. You cling to comfort, to fairness, to appearances. But the rich don't. They embrace discomfort when it serves them. They bend morality when it benefits them. They create appearances when it protects them. That flexibility is why they rise while others sink. But remember, every principle has a shadow. Silence can turn into isolation. Unreadability can become paranoia. Patience can rot into inaction. Leverage can collapse without discipline. Narrative can backfire if exposed. This is why the wealthy appear calm, because they've learned to walk the razor's edge. They balance ruthlessness with control, always staying one step ahead of collapse. And while you sit here thinking wealth is about working harder, they are moving unseen. They are pulling strings. They are setting traps you don't even see. By the time you react, it's already too late. But not for you. Not if you continue this path. Because you're already peeling away the illusions. You're already becoming harder, colder, more strategic. And once you embrace the predator's mindset fully, you'll realize money doesn't flow to those who deserve it. It flows to those who take it. And the taking is never loud, never obvious. It's quiet, it's calculated, it's ghost-like. That's where you're heading. Toward the final evolution. By now you're starting to feel it. The shift. The world doesn't look the same anymore. You see people talking, begging, buying, reacting, and all you notice is weakness. They don't even realize they're being drained, harvested, and played. You do. You've stepped outside the herd. But to truly cross over, you must understand more than silence, unreadability, patience, leverage, and narrative. These are the foundations. The real transformation comes when you sharpen them into weapons and wield them ruthlessly, because wealth is war, not a fair game, not a moral contest, a war. And in war, hesitation is death. Let's carve deeper. There is a reason the poor cling to jobs while the rich build empires. It's not just leverage, it's the law of substitution. The weak always substitute labor for power. They think, if I just work harder, I'll earn more. But hard work alone is a fool's currency. The wealthy substitute differently. They exchange ideas for labor, influence for action, perception for reality. Consider this. One man digs a ditch for a day. He earns a wage. Another man organizes 10 men to dig 10 ditches. He earns 10 times as much and never touches a shovel. Who is smarter, the one who sweats or the one who substitutes? Machiavelli warned rulers never to rely on their own arms alone, but to use others whenever possible. Wealth follows the same rule. If you're always substituting time for money, you'll always stay broke. But if you substitute perception for value, ideas for labor, others' energy for your gain, money will flow to you endlessly. This is the uncomfortable truth. The rich don't work harder. They make others work harder for them. But substitution is not enough without another weapon. The law of illusion. People don't buy what something is. They buy what they believe it is. This is why a diamond, essentially a rock, commands fortunes. Why brands turn ordinary fabric into luxury. Why paper currency, but worthless on its own, holds the power of nations. Money follows illusion, And the masters of illusion are the ones who grow wealthy. They don't sell reality, they sell the story wrapped around it. That's why some men sell courses on how to get rich without ever being rich themselves, and they still profit. That's why entire industries thrive on creating desire for things no one truly needs. Illusion creates demand, and demand creates wealth. If you reject illusion because you think it's dishonest, you've already lost. Because the world doesn't reward honesty. It rewards mastery of appearances. Even Machiavelli himself declared, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." Appearances are power. Illusions are currency. And the man who commands them commands wealth. Now, listen carefully. Because here lies one of the most dangerous principles, the law of exploitation. Most people recoil at this word. They imagine cruelty, injustice, evil. But exploitation, in its pure form, simply means identifying unused value and extracting it. The rich see gaps, weaknesses, opportunities, and they exploit them before anyone else. This doesn't always mean exploiting people directly. It means exploiting timing, exploiting fear, exploiting inefficiency. It means seeing where others waste and turning that waste into your gain. Take fear, for example. When markets crash, the average person panics and sells everything at a loss. The predator exploits this fear and buys cheap, multiplying wealth while others bleed. Take attention. Billions waste hours scrolling on devices. The predator exploits this by capturing attention with narratives, selling products, and converting distraction into income. Exploitation is not cruelty, it's realism. If you don't exploit, someone else will exploit you. That's why you stay broke, not because others are evil, but because you lack the coldness to see opportunities in the weakness of others. And yet even exploitation is dangerous without control. Which brings us to the law of withholding. The weak believe giving everything earns trust. They overshare, they reveal plans, they expose emotions, and in doing so, they give away their leverage. The wealthy withhold. They reveal nothing until it serves them. They master the art of partial disclosure, feeding just enough to create interest, desire, or dependence, but never enough to be predictable. Think of negotiation. The average man blurts out his price, his limits, his needs. The predator withholds. He waits, he listens, he calculates. By the time he speaks, the other side is already trapped. Withholding creates mystique. Mystique creates power. Power creates wealth. This is why the richest men often appear silent, mysterious, distant. They aren't hiding because they're weak. They're hiding because exposure is vulnerability. Now let's draw the threads together. Silence bends people. Unreadability shields you. Patience turns desperation into timing. Leverage makes others your resource. Narrative shapes belief. Substitution frees you from slavery to labor. Illusion multiplies value from nothing. Exploitation turns waste into wealth. Withholding protects your position. These are not tips, they are weapons. Dark, cold, precise weapons forged through centuries of power. And when you wield them, you stop being a victim of the money game. You become the game. But here's the final shift: identity. Most people live and die as prey. Emotional, predictable, chained to hours, salaries, and illusions of fairness. But once you begin walking this path, you stop being like them. You become an observer, a strategist, a phantom in the marketplace. Picture it. While others stumble blindly, you walk with X-ray vision. You see their tells, their impulses, their weaknesses. And instead of joining their chaos, you watch. You wait. You move only when the outcome is already decided. This is what it means to be unreadable, untouchable, unstoppable. You're not chasing wealth anymore. You're positioning yourself so wealth chases you. And once you taste this power, you can never go back. Because at that point, you're no longer one of them. You've crossed into something higher, something untouchable. Now the question remains, how do you apply this daily? How do you live this philosophy, not just understand it? That's where we go next. Into the operations of life. Into the real-world strategies that turn these laws into your armor, your weapons, your empire. You've absorbed the principles: silence, unreadability, patience, leverage, narrative, substitution, illusion, exploitation, withholding. These are no longer abstract words, they're weapons. But a weapon unused is just decoration. To become untouchable, you must carry these laws into your daily life covertly like a hidden blade. Because wealth is not just built in grand moments, it's built in the small daily choices where most people fail. That's where you separate yourself. That's where you become something different. Conversations. Most people use words to fill space, to prove themselves, to feel seen. But you know better. Words are currency, and currency must be invested, not wasted. When you sit across from someone, a friend, a colleague, a potential partner, practice silence. Let them speak. Let them reveal. You're not reacting anymore. You're studying. Every hesitation, every contradiction, every emotional leak becomes data. And in time, you'll notice people beg to fill the silence you create. They hand you information, influence, even loyalty, just to feel comfortable. Silence isn't absence. Silence is pressure, negotiations. Most amateurs think a negotiation is about pushing their position. They talk, they argue, they try to win. But negotiation is war disguised as conversation. And in war, the calm soldier always beats the frantic one. When you negotiate, your unreadability is your armor. You don't show excitement, you don't show fear, you don't show desperation. You wait. You let the other side expose themselves. Then, when the moment is right, you exploit. You substitute your silence for their panic. You withhold until the deal tilts in your favor. And when they realize they've given more than they planned, it's already too late. Relationships. Money is not just financial, it's social. Influence is a currency that can be traded, multiplied, weaponized. And here's the brutal truth. Most people destroy their influence by being too available, too emotional, too predictable. You won't. You apply the law of withholding. You don't give everyone full access. You remain slightly distant, slightly mysterious. You offer glimpses of yourself, never the whole. And because humans crave what they can't fully grasp, this withholding creates value. People chase you. People invest in you. People respect you. This isn't manipulation. It's design. You're building gravity around yourself, so wealth, in all its forms, pulls toward you. Business. Here is where the Machiavellian laws truly shine. Most businesses fail because they try to sell reality. They push features, logic, hard work. But the predators sell illusions. They sell narratives. They craft appearances. They create desire where none existed. Think of the greatest empires: Apple, Tesla, luxury brands. Are their products objectively worth the price? Rarely. But the illusion, the story, the narrative makes people line up, beg, and overpay. This is the law of illusion in action, multiplied by the law of narrative. If you want to build wealth, stop selling only what something is. Start selling what it means. Don't just sell food, sell identity. Don't just sell clothes, sell status. Don't just sell courses, sell the illusion of transformation. Because in the end, people don't buy the object. They buy the story they tell themselves when they own it. Conflict. The weak waste energy fighting every battle. They argue, they defend themselves, they prove points, and in doing so, they bleed power. The predator doesn't fight every battle. The predator waits, selects, and strikes only when victory is assured. This is the law of predator's patience. When conflict comes, you don't rush. You watch, you calculate. You let your enemy expose themselves, burn their energy, reveal their strategy. And when they are weakest, you act, swiftly, decisively, mercilessly. That's why the rich expand in recessions. That's why they buy when others are afraid. That's why they conquer when others retreat. They don't waste energy in petty battles. They choose wars that feed empires. And slowly, without fanfare, you evolve. You begin to notice that while others chase comfort, you choose discipline. While others reveal themselves, you remain unreadable. While others panic, you wait. While others work endlessly, you create leverage. While others tell the truth and get ignored, you craft illusions and get paid. You are no longer one of them. You have crossed into something higher. This is the final evolution. Unreadable, untouchable, unstoppable. A phantom in the world of money. You don't scream your wealth. You don't beg for recognition. You move in silence. You build quietly. You accumulate power until one day the herd looks up and realizes you are no longer among them. You've transcended. Machiavelli would call this the prince's path, ruling not by kindness or fairness, but by control, design, and inevitability. The Stoics would call it detachment, the freedom from being ruled by impulse. I call it the predator's mind, the mind that bends wealth, power, and people to its will. Most people will never see this. They'll stay blind, emotional, prey. But you've been initiated. You've stepped deeper into the hidden brotherhood. Now here is your choice. You can let this video wash over you and then return to your old patterns. Predictable, emotional, broke. Or you can take this as your initiation. You can begin applying these laws daily. You can stop reacting and start calculating. You can stop working for money and start bending money to work for you. If you're ready to walk further into this world, to sharpen your mind, to master power, to become untouchable, then this is your command. Subscribe, not as a favor, not as a gesture, as a continuation of transformation. Because the deeper we go, the darker it gets. And once you cross that line, there is no going back. So the question is, are you ready to stop being prey and start becoming predator?